In this episode, we're going to be looking at Catholic views of creation. So Roman Catholics believe that God created the world from nothing, which is known as ex nihilo. So let's look at some quotes from the Catholic teaching on creation. We have, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." That's from Genesis. "And the world was created for the glory of God." That's from the Catechism of Catholic teaching. The book of Genesis in the Old Testament says God created humans. The Catholic Church says that the story of creation in Genesis can be understood as symbolic. A symbolic story can have important messages and truths, even if it did not happen exactly as described. It's possible for Catholics to believe in evolution as well as God. The Catholic Church teaches that faith and science don't always disagree with each other. Some Christians, however, believe the Bible must be interpreted literally, as it's the Word of God. This means that they believe that God literally made the earth in 6 days. This can conflict with scientific evidence about evolution. The most important Catholic belief about creation is that it was an act of God. Creation is also understood as an expression of God as omnipotent, because he was able to create the universe from nothing. Another important belief is that God created human beings to have a special relationship with him and to obey his commands. Catholics believe that God made human beings the stewards of creation, with a responsibility to look after the world that he had made. So to recap some of that, let's try and complete these quotes about creation. We have, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and the world was created for the glory of God." And can we remember some of the important Catholic beliefs about creation? That it was an act of God, it was an expression of God as omnipotent, that God created human beings to have a special relationship with him and to obey his commands, and God made human beings the stewards of creation. So the Catholic Church teaches that faith and science don't always have to oppose each other. Now let's look at some of the accounts of creation in the book of Genesis, in chapter 1 and chapter 2. In Genesis 1, men and women are the last things to be created in the process of creation. The creation account in Genesis 1 is set out chronologically over a period of 7 days. And on the 6th day, God says, "Let us make man." In Genesis 2, Adam is created before the animals. Most Catholics believe that these accounts don't disagree with each other because the writing shouldn't be interpreted literally. Genesis 1 is mainly focused on the physical act of creation, leading up to the creation of human beings in God's image. God commands humanity to rule over the rest of creation. Genesis 2 focuses on the spiritual idea of how God made human beings as his special creation and gave them the responsibility to look after the Garden of Eden. So in which books of Genesis do these versions of creation happen? In Genesis 1, men and women were created last, while in Genesis 2, man is created before animals. And to just go over that one more time, which Genesis mainly focuses on the physical act of creation, leading up to the creation of human beings in God's image, and God commands humanity to rule over the rest of creation. That's Genesis 1. And then Genesis 2 focuses on the spiritual idea of how God made human beings as his special creation and gave them the responsibility to look after the Garden of Eden. And just to go over that one more time, Genesis 2 focuses on the spiritual idea of how God made human beings as his special creation and gave them the responsibility to look after the Garden of Eden. And what are some of the features of the Genesis 1 account of creation? We know that it's set out chronologically over a period of 7 days. On the 6th day, God says, "Let us make man," and that men and women are the last thing to be created. And that's all you need to know about creation in Catholic teaching.